Okay. So as we covered yesterday, like arithmetic operators. So by using that operators, we'll cover few examples, and also today I will cover how to take the dynamic input from the keyboard by using input statement also. Like in previous class, we used to take the static input. Now we'll see that part also. Okay. So very simple example. I will start for a very traditional example, that is sum of the two numbers. Okay. So I think sum of the two numbers. So here, if you want to perform the sum of the two numbers, definitely we need two variables, and where we will, as I mentioned. So anyway, first of all, if we want to store like this, yes, we can store like this: a equal to and b equal to 20. Let's take c equal to a plus b, and if I'm using print, sum is equal to C. Okay, so now it will execute the straight away program without asking the input from the keyboard. Like see, you executed, so the output as 30. But the thing is, any number of times, like how many number of times you execute this program, every time it will show the same output. So user does not have ability to change the input at the time of execution. So to provide such kind of ability to the customer or user, like he can give whatever the input he want while the execution. So for that, instead of static input, we can change to dynamic input, that is input of, okay, enter a value. Okay, similarly for b also, input of enter b value. Okay, so now if you see, I am asking customer to enter the a and b values from the keyboard by using input. Okay, so now I'm executing this program. So now you see it is waiting for your input. So enter a value, the point is blinking. It means it is waiting for the customer input to proceed for the execution. So until unless you given the input, it won't go for next line. So because it's a block, we called it as a IO statement or blocking statement, because the IO statement will keep on listen the events from the keyboard. Like when we enter something from the keyboard, then it will take the input and will continue the execution. Till that point, it will hold the execution. Let's take example. I'm giving 7. So now the first input will be 7. Now enter. Now you see it is asking b value again. Now 8. Okay. Now enter. So now what is the output? See, if you clearly observe that the expectation is 7 plus 8 is 15. But here the output we are getting is 78. Why? Because whatever the input we reading or we taken from the keyboard using input statement, by default it will take in the form of string format, as I mentioned day one itself. So input statement will read the input in the only form of string. It does not take any numerical format or any decimal format. So to make it numerical or to make it a proper addition, we have to convert that value into integer format. That is what technically called as I already mentioned, explicit typecasting. So now here we need to typecast a and b into integers. So for that, I'm writing int of a, and after that int of b. Okay, so now both a and b will convert internally as an integers, and now we can able to add them as a single value. So now you see same output I'm giving 7 8. Now 7 plus 8 will be 15. So like that, we can read the input from the keyboard, and if it is string, for if it is a input is string, directly you can read and you can manipulate or you can perform the operation. But if it is numericals or decimals, first before doing any operation, please convert them into respective format by using typecasting functions. Like in float, I given the list, right? So using that list you can typecast that. So now we are able to getting the dynamic input, at the same time we are getting sum of the two numbers. Okay, so any doubts till this point? Any doubt? Fine then. Now I will go with another example. Okay. Let's take, I want to find the area and perimeter of the circle. Okay. So for that I'm writing a simple program. Let's take circle measurements. So here, if you want to find the area or perimeter of the circle, we need a constant called pi. So basically, as we know that the area of the circle will be pi r square and the perimeter will be 2 pi r. So in this, the pi what we are calling is a constant. That is the constant value. So 22 by 7, right? So that is 3.144, right? So that I'm defining as a constant initial. Y is equal to 3.14. Okay. So here, if you observe that clear, sorry. Yeah. And now whatever the radius that I'm asking from the customer, again here radius might be having decimals like point value, so I'm taking into float. So float of input of enter radius. Okay. So now here you see R is the dynamic input because the radius will be given from the customer. But pi, we are not asking from the customer, we are directly initializing with a static value because that is a constant value. Okay. So now here, once we got the R value from the customer, now we want to find the area. So area formula pi R square, right? So pi means already we have that constant called pi and R square. So R square we can write in two ways. One is R star R, that indicately R square, or else we have a power operator, we can use the power operator called double star 2, that is also indicating square only. So you can habituate when we want to get the powers, use the double star, because if something r to the power of 5 you required, instead of writing r into 5 times, you can simply write r double star 5. And similarly parameter I'm finding 2 pi r, right? So 2 into pi into r. So these are the two measurements. Like in this program, what I want to highlight is generally when we are writing some logic, some variables might be treated as static values, some values might be treated as dynamic values. It depends on the program. So here 3.14 always same for every program, that's why I taken a static value. Maybe change and make opt from the customer, so that's why I given as a dynamic value. So now finally print area is equal to comma area, and also by default print will give always in the new line, remember that. Okay. So that means whenever you are writing print, that will give the output in the always new line. Okay. So now here area and perimeter will get into the two different lines. See that enter radius, let's take I'm giving 6 as a radius. So now even you can give 6 or 6 point also. So now area will be 11304 and 3968. If you observe that the output you are able to see in the two different lines. But let's assume that even though we written the print in the two lines, but I want to make it single line, then there is a extra attribute called end. So end is equal to, you can give the space here. So then instead of the two the output we're getting in the two lines, you will get in the single line. Okay. So now if run that, so now I'm giving, let's take 5.7. So now you see both are in the single line. So likewise you can use the end attribute also as part of the print. So if you are not using, by default it will take as a new line. If you want to control that, or if you want to print in the same line, or if you want to print the tab space, that all you can give in the end parameter. Like example, if I'm giving /t, then you will get the tab space in between the two attributes. Let's take 8, I'm taking, see that this is the tab space likewise. Okay. So now here in this example, you may understood like how to take the static value and when we will take the dynamic value. Okay. So, but it depends on the purely program and requirement, I can say that. Okay. So any doubt in the circle program? Any doubt as of now? Okay, fine. So now I'm writing a program for sum of the integers. Okay. Integers sum. So here, what is my expectation is input and output expectation is. So for this program, the input will be n value, like it might be 1 or 2 or 10, it may any natural number. Okay. But the expectation will be sum of the integers till that number. Let's take example, if I'm giving 5 as input, the output should be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. If I'm giving input as a 10, then the output will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus till the 10. Likewise, whatever the number we given, till that number I want to add them. Okay. And without using for loop, we can do that. There is a formula for that. So the formula will be n into n plus 1 by 2. Okay. Here, so the formula will be sum equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. This is the formula for sum of the n natural numbers. Okay. So here I want to use the same what do you call, yeah, same formula over here. Okay. So instead of writing the for loop. So first I'm taking the n as an input. So int of, because I mentioned a natural number, so we can take int of input of enter any value. Okay. And now I'm finding the sum equal to n star. We want n plus 1, right? But if you are giving like this, the n star n will take high priority and plus 1 will take the least priority. So as you know, right, BODMAS rule, like when we are not using any brackets, then star means multiplication will take high priority comparatively addition. So that's why you have to make it proper brackets when you have the multiple values in the same line. Similarly, here I'm writing by 2. So here also, to make it applicable by 2 for entire value, you should give a proper brackets here. Okay. Now finally print the result. So let's take result equal to comma sum. So now I'm running this program and enter the 5. So see, if you observe that 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, that will be 15. But here if you clearly observe that here we are getting 15.0 instead of 15. Why? Because here we are using division operator, right? So division operator, that too this is a float division. So float division, even though we know that some of the natural numbers will be natural number, that means we are getting only integer. Though it is returning the float, because we used single double slash, single slash, that is indicating floating division. So now I want to make it integer division. So for that double slash we have to use same program. Now instead of 15 you will get, sorry, instead of 15.0 you will get 15 now. You see that. So likewise in division, whenever we required only numerical value, use the double slash, and if you want to get the even including decimals also, use the single slash. So please remember this also. Sometimes we may use double slash and sometimes we may single slash based on the requirement. Okay. But this is how the division will work in the Python. So any doubt in this? So as of now, any doubt?
No, sir.
Good. Okay, then in that case, we'll go for another example. Okay. Let's take, there is a two strings we have. Let's take first name and last name. Okay. Now I want to uh, print the full name. That means I want to combine them as a single name and I want to print as an output. So I can go with name and the string manipulation. I can say that. So first name is equal to, so here you don't require to typecast into what I can say that type of the value. I mean to say numerical value, because we required itself the strings. So you can write directly input. Don't require of str of as int of like that. Okay. So directly enter first name, and after that L name is equal to input of enter second name. And now full name is equal to, I'm concatenating both the first name and last name. Okay. So now finally print welcome to here plus, sorry, comma full name. So always whenever you are writing any program, you have to think about three things. What is input and what is the logic to be executed, and finally you have to either print or return the response. So three steps totally. input, process, and output basically. So likewise, we can print the content. So here it will ask the first name. Let's take example Satish, and second name will be Kumar, and the final name will be Satish Kumar. Like this, you can concatenate strings simply by using plus. So if you observe here, one more point I just want to highlight to you in the with respect to this program, plus. So if you observe that plus is clearly, okay, so plus is acting as two behaviors in the same application, same language here. So same plus we are using for addition, and same plus we are using even for concatenation. If you observe that clearly, same operator is behaving like two different natures with respect to input. If you providing the strings, okay, if you providing string as an input, then the operation is performing concatenation. If you are using the, if you are providing the numbers, okay, then it is performing addition. So the same operator behaving like two different operations based on the two different types of inputs. So this concept only we called as operator overloading. Okay. So what we call it is operator overloading. That means single operator will behave differently based on the inputs what we given. So this concept only technically called as operator overloading. Okay. So is it clear? What do you mean by operator overloading? So if you observe here in this program, we taken the two strings, we use the plus operator. So now the output will be as a concatenation string we got. And in the same sum example, if you use same plus, but here it is working like a addition. That means mathematical operation. Okay. So any doubt as of now? So that means it indirectly what I'm trying to explain, Python supports operator overloading as like C language. Okay, as like Java. It supports operator overloading. Any doubt as of now?
No, sir.
Good. Okay, fine. Then in that case, we'll go for another program. Okay. I'm taking a simple example, rectangle program. Okay. So here I will take two input from the keyboard, that is length and breadth. So L is equal to, again I'm taking float of input of enter value. And similarly B is equal to, again I'm writing float of input, sorry, input of enter B value, enter L value. And now area will be, I'm writing L star B. Okay. And now print area is equal to comma area. Okay. So now here, if you observe that, I'm running the simple program where I'm taking the two values as an input. Okay. And the output will be product of them. That is what we call area of the rectangle, length and breadth. Okay. And we use float. So that's why even we given the integers, it is converted to float. So this is we call implicit typecasting. Even though we are giving integers, it is internally converting to float, and we do that. Okay. So likewise it is happening. But the point here I want to explain with respect to this program, here a simple thing, we read the two values and we multiplied them. Okay. But here I want to explain one more point. Let's take example, what is expecting some decimal value or some numerical value, I can say that, right? But let us assume that accidentally if we given the let's consider a simple case called string. Okay, now how it will behave in this case means it will throw an error. Okay, it's not a syntactical error, but it is a execution time error. Like see that could not convert string to float, because we are asking system to convert the given value into float, but accidentally we given string. System cannot convert the string into float, right? So that's why it's showing an X error. So but this is not shown or identified at the time of typing or at the time of initial stage, but at the time of execution the system is throwing an error called could not convert string to float. So this kind of errors only we called in Python exceptions. Okay, so exceptions means the errors which are occurred at the time of execution due to logical mistakes, like whatever like logic we implemented, maybe sometime we may not properly design that, or we may given wrong input to the system. So by that time we will get this kind of errors. So this is what we call runtime errors, or technically these are only called as exceptions basically. Okay, so these exceptions, if we have the exceptions in the program, so we can't proceed further, because you know, right? So in Python is interpreter based language. So Python is interpreter based language. So that's why without handling that exception, we can't proceed further to continue the execution. So we need to handle that. Okay. So in Python, to handle such kind of runtime errors, we have a concept called exception handling. Okay, so that is only we call try and accept, but in future we may have that detailedly. Okay, after few days we'll touch back, but remember, we may get two types of errors in any program. One is syntax errors, second one is runtime errors. Syntax errors means the typing mistakes, straight away I can say, like bracket missing, see, immediately showing errors. And let's take comma missing, like if you see, immediately showing error. These are all syntactical mistakes. So you need to technically we call typing mistakes. So maybe spelling mistake, bracket mistake, something like the spaces properly not given. So you need to give properly. But sometimes we may get even the structure is clear, and all the lines of code is clear, but though sometimes we'll get errors like just before what we got at the runtime. So that is what we call exceptions, and that we can avoid or we can bypass them to continue the program. So that concept only we call exception handling. But as I mentioned, right, we'll take separate topic on that where we can discuss more on it. Okay, but just why I'm telling, if you are giving any wrong format of the data, you may get this kind of errors. That is what we call value error. Okay, and here in the same program I want to explain one more thing. Okay, if you remember, I think yesterday we explained day before yesterday, I guess, or yesterday operators, right? So is operator and equal operator also we use it, right? So I will tell you that also. Let's take example, a equal to 10 is there, and let's take b equal to 10 is there. Okay, so now I'm writing print. So directly I'm writing a equal to b. Okay, similarly I'm writing print a is b. Okay, so anyway, as I mentioned already, if I'm using any conditional operator, they will return the boolean value as an output. So that means print will print the boolean value now. So now you see, sorry, wait, it went out. Yeah, now you see enter value I'm giving 10, 20. Yeah, so now you see both are giving true. Okay, why? Because here in this case, when you are using the immutable data types, that means regular primitive data types like int or string, something like that, they will refer the same memory at a time. Because why? What is happening in, I will tell you simple way. In Python, as we know, interpreter, like for example, a equal to 10, a will be 10. Now we are using b equal 10, right? So now in this case, what happened? A equal to b, anyway having both values, it will return true. Even a is b also giving true. Why? Because these are primitives. Primitives means in this case, when we go to the second seventh line, the memory what allocated by the a will also be used by the b because of the what you can say, primitive nature. Okay, but if same example I'm taking in different way, you see what yesterday I explained, right? This one. Now you see what will happen. Here also I'm giving same inputs only, 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. Okay, now let's run it. Now you see, same example. First one anyway true, because we know A double equal to B means whether the data is equal or not is comparing, yes, data is equal. But in second case, you see it is now returning false, because when we are referring the collection means it is a object or it is a reference. So by that time, the memory what allocated for the A collection, that's called list A, is completely different from the memory allocated from the B list. So that's why in this example, A is B is returning the false. Okay. But in the same example, again, if I'm writing yesterday as like yesterday, B equal to A, now you will get both again as a true, because same memory we are using for both the objects. See that both are true. So please clear, I mean that clear with this difference. Okay. So this is operator and double equal to operator will only be differently behave when you are working with the collections. But when you are working with primitive types, primitive means like int, float, string, character, it doesn't behave like differently. It will act as the same thing externally. Internally there is a difference meaning, but externally it will behave like a same thing. But collections you can clearly see the difference. Okay. So that is the major difference between equal and is. So simply I can tell that double equal will compare the values. Is will compare the reference, or I can say that the memory where it is stored, is the memory reference is same or not. It will check that. Okay. So that is the difference between double equal and is. And similarly, as on that I told you, if you want to know the type of the value, yes, you can type of B. Okay. So it will give the what type of object is created internally. Okay. So how it is stored, or how the what object is referred, it will tell you. See that for both A and B, the type of the object will be list. That's why A is B showing same here, and even the data also same anyway in this case. Okay. So now I will give you one more concept. Print ID of, this is important to understand, that is operator mainly id of B. Okay. So now you see in this case both A and B will show the same ID. You see that? See that 7, if you see the ID 7648 last, and here also the last ID will be 7648. This is what I'm talking. So in is operator always talks about these IDs. If the both IDs are same, then this is operator will return the true. If these IDs are different, it will return false. So now you see I'm changing to back to another list. Let's take 10 comma 20 comma 30. Here also by looking both are same. So most of the people are confusing here. By looking values are same. So that's why A double equal to B definitely will give the true first value. But here A is B is giving different value, because here the IDs what allocated for A and B will be different, because we allocated data separately. You see now? Now you see, it is giving false. And objects, can you compare it? See, first A object will be 5584, and coming to the B one 7440. See that? So that means internal reference of memory where this data stored in the hard disk is two different places. So but type is still the same, both are list only, but the reference is different. That's why is operator is returning the different value here. Okay. Now in the same example, I will tell you one more point. Let's take, now I'm writing 10 in A. What it indicating, as I mentioned, right? In operator will tell you whether the value is there in the list or not. So or collection or not. Now in this case, yes, 10 already there in the A. So now here also you are expecting true for this output. But these are all I will explain conditional statement. But straight away the operator will work, nature of the operator will be true, or will return the conditional statement, that is boolean, or boolean value called true or false. And also remember in Python, the true and false will be recognized by first character will be uppercase. So that means whenever you want to use true or false, start with uppercase letter, like false or true. But in Java or C, we may generally use the small, all are small letters, but here the first letter will be uppercase letter. Please remember that also. Okay. So I hope you clear that, like double equal and is difference, and also what is the use of the type and ID functions. So type will be used to know the what is the type of the object or data type which is allocated internally by the system, because we are not externally defining the collection data type. And the second thing, ID will give you the unique ID reference where the actual value gets stored in the memory will return by the ID of function. So these two are inbuilt functions only. Okay. Similarly as like print and input. So any doubt till this point? Similarly, there is a two more inbuilt functions. So one is CHR, like character, you know, right? STR means string. Similarly, CHR for char. So character will convert the given number into character format. Let's take I'm giving 67. Char of 67 I'm giving. Okay. I'm commenting this rectangle code here. So to comment multiple lines at a time, you can select all the lines and you can press the controls slash, then automatically will comment. Similarly, when you press back, it will uncomment that. See, if you see 67 is giving the uppercase C letter. Like if you give the 65, it will give the uppercase A letter. So if you want to convert the ASCII value into character, then we can use CHR function. Similarly, reverse, print ORD of uppercase A means reverse process, character alphabet to ASCII value. So these two also inbuilt functions. So CHR is used for converting the ASCII to alphabet, and ORD ordinal is used to convert alphabet to ASCII value. Okay, so these two functions also we have inbuilt, and which are also commonly used for typecasting. And similarly, we have, I'm writing in the comment. So we have int of and float of, this is already we used, and this is we used str of to convert into string. So these are all primitives, and along with that we have other collection types like list. This is called object types, tuple, and this all will explain when we covering the collection topic, set, dictionary. Okay, so mostly these are the data. If anybody asks you like what are the data types available in the Python, if anybody asks, you have to list these are the data types like into, float, string, and also we have boolean. So these are the different data types which are available in the Python by default in the Python. But along with that, some more like arrays and that all will talk about with respect to modules, like external modules. But inbuilt with Python, these are only we got. Okay. So this is all about examples and operators. So if any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, we can wind up class for today. And tomorrow we'll start conditional statements. So that is also very, very important as I mentioned. So conditional statements, looping statements will help with helpers of these three concepts like operators, conditional, looping statements. You can write any program with respect to Python or DSA like data structures and algorithms also. We can use these three topics only. And remaining whatever we are going to be learning like functions, object-oriented programming, exception handling, file handling, these are all topics will be structural concepts. So that means using the some object will work on it. But technically, if you want to write a logic or a code, basically these three topics only we use generally, along with collections basically. Okay. Any last minute questions? Okay. Thanks, sir. Bye bye.